go. First episode, premiere of the first episode. Uh, man, I hope this is good. But all right, Jaden,
Hmm.
how are you doing today? Let's just start with that.
I'm doing pretty good. I just finished work. I just talked to the person.
All right,
Yeah,
Jaden,
I
listen
just
up.
talked to one
Okay,
of my good
so
friends.
we do not
I
have.
only talked to one of my good friends and stuff. And yeah, I was like really excited when I came back.
All
Just to
right,
my good friends.
all right. We do not have hosts MXV and Wayne today because
Yeah, I know,
MXV
right?
is somewhere and Wayne is being a complete goddamn idiot. So it's only us two
Who knew?
talking
Maybe his
about
brother killed him.
talking about the Texarkana Phantom killer who in the 1940s terrorized the citizens of Texarkana, Texas. I think we should start. Let's start with the first two murders, or not really murders, but Jack Mac Jimmy Hollis and Mary Jelaine Larry.
Wait, I shouldn't even be laughing. I just don't even know what I'm
Uh,
laughing
so
about. Probably the names of the people.
okay, so at 10:50 p.m. in 1946 at 10:50 p.m., Mary Jane and Jimmy were hold up. What are these fucking names? Mary Jane, Jimmy were at 10:50 p.m. Mary Jane, Jimmy, Virginia, Lorraine, and Bob left the Paramount Theater where they had gone to see Three Strangers, a non-noir thriller release set in London, England. Not wanting to call it a night, Jimmy drove up to the group in his old model gray Chevrolet to an all-night drive-in cafe. Now,
Ooh.
it was only 11 p.m., still a little early for a Friday night. And so instead of driving Mary home, the couple decided to detour onto a dirt road, uh, a little bit close to the cafe near a few farms, uh, that sprung from Richmond and parked up in a small lay-by surrounded by shrubland, because they need to do that good stuff.
Yes.
You know, shit, my glasses are fucking dirty as shit. Let's see. So it was pitch black out there, of course, because it was in the middle of the night. It was 11 p.m., which is basically the time where you go out prowling, Jaden, for your stuff. Am I correct?
Yes.
All right. So it was peaceful and quiet, of course, away from the city lights, which I think is the perfect place to be murdered in my mind. Pitch black, no lights, and just two idiots inside of a old Chevrolet. Um, where was I at? So there were several of these lanes around Texarkana called Lover Lanes. It was peaceful and quiet. They are peaceful and quiet lanes far from city lights, so that lovers can do their good stuff. Um, Privacy, of course, because they need privacy. Uh, they were not alone that night, as these two were the first to be. A minutes later, after they parked the car, um, a man wearing a white mask, or what's the ski mask called? I can't forget. I don't remember, but he was wearing a white mask or bag over his head, whatever. Uh,
Dang.
they've been about
What is
so he
real?
walked up about 10 minutes after they parked, and so he had cut out holes on his mask for his mouth and his eyes, and he pointed a flashlight and a pistol at them and came up at the driver's side door and told Jimmy something like this. I don't want to kill you, fella, so do what I say. So they both got out of the car and stood by the man. The man told Jimmy, "Take off your fucking breeches," which I think that seems like getting a bit frisky over there, you know.
Oh yeah.
So she the lady Mary, she begged, scared. She was scared, of course, because there was a fucking psychopathic man pointing a gun at her boyfriend's head, and begged Jimmy to go along with the man's request and hope that they could get out of the situation unhurt.
Wait. This took place in London.
This took place in Texas, Texarkana. So
Wait,
Jimmy took
didn't you
off
say
his
London though?
trousers. What?
Didn't you say London? It took place though.
No, the movie
Like
was
in
based. No. They before they were both attacked, before they went to the cafe, they went to go see a movie that was based in London.
uh
Okay, so right after Jimmy took off his trousers, the man hit him on the head twice, cracking his skull. Yes, the noise was so loud that the woman thought that Jimmy had been shot. She picked up Jimmy's
even
pants and
worse.
took off his blindfold took his billfold out of his pocket, and I said, "Look, he doesn't have any money." So, so the man thought told her that she was lying, and that she had a purse, but she told him he didn't, and then he hit her. Then I saw it with a piece of iron pipe and knocked me to the ground, but I managed to get up. The man told her to take off in a blind. She made towards a ditch in blind panic before a voice rang out of the night, yelling at her, telling her to change direction. She ran instead back towards the main road. Her heels, because girls back then always wore freaking heels, made it difficult to run on the dirt road. Of
Oh,
course. Um, she had not stopped to think that to fuck. She had not stopped to think that it might have belonged to the killer. She started to run again because she found a car, and you know, just as the man that was chasing her, of course, like is fucking Jason chasing one of his fucking killers at Camp Crystal Lake, which and you probably don't get that reference, but he knocked her over the head again, knocked her to the floor, and
and then
attempted
ate her.
to sexually assault her, meaning
And then eat
rape.
her, right? And then eat her afterward.
What?
And then eat her.
Ay, ay, ay.
No, I'm kidding.
So he sexually assaulted her with the barrel of his gun.
That's awful.
I wonder how that works. Uh, as quickly as it began, the horror stopped because while the man was sexually assaulting her, Jimmy actually managed to stand up after his skull being cracked and walk down the dirt road and stop a car that was passing by. And so when they got to Mary, he was gone. He was completely gone.
Oh, shoot.
Uh, so yeah. So the ambulance, police and emergency services got to the scene, and the ambulance took Jimmy to Texarkana Hospital, followed by Mary Jane in a police car. Uh, Mary's head needed 8 stitches, physically at
Mm.
least. Jimmy would lay in a coma in intensive care. Police estimated the whole attack to be taking just 5 to 8 minutes. with the attacker taking at least $20. Now, you ready? The
Yeah.
community of the town saw nothing of it because they saw it was just another robbery at Lover's Lane, because Texarkana is known for like robberies and stuff back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
They saw it as a normal robbery, but the police continue to investigate, and police tracked the scene and found Jimmy's pants, but a little else in with them. They found the mask that he was wearing, which was stupid. At least if I was a murderer, I wouldn't do that crap. Uh, she actually thought the murderer was a black man at first. Um, but it was probably a white man. And then a few months later, and a few months later, the first two murderers arrive, and the first two people to be murdered were Richard Griffin and Polly Ann Moore. Now, you ready? Richard and Polly drove down West 7th on one of the main arteries that runs from central Texarkana. Uh,
Okay.
so they went off the highway, just south of the highway, and they went into a road called Rich Road, which was permitted into the evening. They parked up at an empty parking spot, and the silence of the night fell upon the old Chevrolet. Now, you see a little pattern going here, right?
Yeah.
He's going for lovers, which was weird. Now,
Dang. He killed the
they
guy and the
thought they were
girl.
alone, but their privacy was interrupted. This time, a man standing by the window of the car told Richard to drop his pants, just like the last guy. Uh, Later rain fell. Um, let's see. So,
And then what?
a few minutes later, minutes later, Sunday morning, next day, at 9 a.m., a man driving along lane from West 7th saw Richard's gray Chevrolet and saw something about it seemed suspicious. He didn't stop to check it out. He decided to call into the police and go on his way. So when the police arrived, they found a nightmare that had given him. They found a scene that would have given him nightmares for years. The body of Richard Griffin sat between the two front seats, slumping forward. His pants were around his ankles, and his pockets had been turned out. He had been shot twice back in the back of the head.
Oh, dang.
Looks like he
So
had been in
you
the
must
car.
have been.
Now, Polly's
Oh, yeah.
body lay in the back seat, also shot twice in the head. Um, let's see. The police deduced that from a large blood-soaked stain on the ground 20 feet from the car, Polly had been shot outside the car and then placed in the car after she had bled out into a blanket. The police figured from the amount of blood on the scene and the inside of the car, the killer must have been covered. Uh, and any track that had led the police to the killer had disappeared. There was no way to track it down anymore. And this is when the community started taking notice because uh, and this is people have been starting to in the town. People have started to grow very paranoid. They have been starting to set up traps for themselves in their own houses, homemade traps, homemade locks, homemade doors. They've been starting to buy multiple guns in their houses, and when the men would go out to work, the woman would take The woman would take children or themselves to a hotel that every other woman had been staying at because, many people in one building is very safe. Uh, next, now weeks passed, nothing yet, but then came Paul Martin and Betty Joe Booker. Would you like to hear about these two? Of course you would.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
what happened with Sisu? On
Oh, wait,
Saturday,
wait.
April
Before you
13th.
explain, so remember like how in the last film we always did like bonuses as like the fun trying not to laugh videos. Are we gonna do that?
No, this is a different show, Jaden.
Oh yeah.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
So Saturday, April 13th, 1 a.m. rolled. They were going down because they had a bend, and they were going down from a gig. And 1 a.m. rolled around, pulsed outside of the VFW, awaiting the arrival of Betty Joe. She had been playing at the dance hall since 9 p.m.
Oh, okay.
So let's see. When he met Betty Joe, he agreed to drive her home to drop off her sacks. And the pair planned to meet up with some of Betty Joe's friends. Maybe they stop in a all-night diner, or maybe at a slumber party one of her friends was holding that weekend. Paul suggested parking up near the Spring Lake Park at the northern boundary of Texarkana. It was a quiet rural area in 1946, and the pair parked up around 2 a.m., cutting the engine into the darkness. Um,
Oh dang. Basic, you are basic. Basic. Wait, all right. That's so okay. We were talking about this. I accidentally sang a song that I love. Okay, we're back. We're back.
uh, so, of course, as usual, they sat there alone in this private area. But of course, you know, during the night, Betty Jo's mother woke several times in a panic. Betty Jo had not returned her sacks, and that conclude was far too unusual. Her husband did his best to relax the anxious parent. So what they did,
Uh,
they called the police. And at 6
this
a.m.
kind of
Sunday
reminds
morning,
me.
they found the body. Miss and Mrs. Weaver saw the body of Paul laying by the roadside near Spring Lake Park.
Oh,
And
okay.
so Paul's dead, of course. Paul laying on the gravel of the North Park Road on his left side with his legs and feet jutting out on the road. The, the sheriff confirmed the body was deceased. Paul had been shot 4 times, one in the back of the neck, one in the back of his left shoulder, one in the right hand, and
That would be dead then.
savagely one in his face. Um, they ID'd Paul Martin quickly via his wallet, of course. Um, They found blood on the fence on the opposite side of the road and decided it could have been possible he was shot on that side and crawled to this position half of the road. They had found Paul's brother's Ford coupe parked up with his key still in ignition about a mile and a half from his body and about 400 yards from the entrance of the park. No one knew that
Uh,
Betty Jo at the time had been with Paul, so they didn't extend their search for any other bodies. But they began the search because she had been seen leaving with Paul and she's been missing for a few days.
okay.
Alright, you ready?
Yeah.
The boys were one such family who joined in the search and were untimely the unlucky group to find her body. Everybody's been searching and they found her body, unfortunately. She was lying on her back about a mile from Paul's body and 2 miles from the the Ford coupe in a small wooded area 25 yards north of the gravel road named Morris Lane. She was fully clothed, including her intruding her overcoat. With one in her pocket, she had been shot twice, one in the chest and one in the head.
Oh, dang.
What's with this guy
Shit.
shooting twice? What the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Yeah, I know, right?
Meanwhile, back at the scene, appalled by Shiva had noticed tracks of a man alongside smaller tracks on the ground and tried to vain to follow them. Of course, they never found the
Oh,
killer. Uh, from the angle of the gunshots made on the body of Bejo, Paul was surprised the killer had been right-handed, but otherwise, once again, lack of immediate motive. No tracks, no clues, no murder weapons. Must have been wearing gloves. Uh, At 9 p.m. on Sunday night, the players of Buddy Joe's band visited the police to tell them everything they had known about Saturday night. Unfortunately, nothing has been found. So that's 4 murders, 2 injured, and they gave the man the name the Phantom Killer, of course, and they issued a curfew and a quiet couple. And after a quiet couple weeks of no murders, then came Virgil and Catherine Starks.
oh,
Now, the
oh,
reason
okay.
why I'm separating these 2 murders from the rest of the murders, because these 2 murders are weird. You ready?
Yeah.
On evening of Friday 3rd, the 3rd of May on Friday evening, Catherine was already in her nightgown, relaxing in her bedroom. That's the weird part. They were in their house. Most of these murders were outside near a car, and with 2 young lovers. These two were 37-year-old people that were in their 30s. The rest of them were in their 15s or 20s.
Oh, really?
So, she was relaxing in her bedroom while Virgil turned on his wireless radio and sat in the living room chair to read the paper. He didn't get far through it, however, before he was shot twice in the back of the head through the living room window. He slumped forward in the chair as Catherine came into the living room to see what the noise was. When she saw her husband, she ran straight to the telephone on the wall and went up to the mouthpiece. There were 2 more cracks, and as she was shot through the window, once in the face, with the bullet entering through her cheek and exiting through the left ear. There were 2 cracks. The second broke her jaw, shattering her teeth. She dropped to the floor in a horrific state, but alive, she crawled to the bedroom to collect her gun. Not sure where the gun was actually in the bedroom, she changed direction and headed towards the kitchen. She left the house and ran
Okay.
onto the highway. She was shot, actually. No, she wasn't shot. Uh, so she, up to the side of the highway, of course. She went to her neighbor's house. The lights in the house were all off, though, and no reply came from her hammering on the door. No one's home. Catherine turned and ran to her sister's neighbor's house, another 50 yards away. She was bleeding out. She had a broken jaw.
Oh,
Um,
shoot.
she had a bullet going through her cheek and exiting through her left ear. That's what I call a Terminator, man. Uh, let's see. Um, so this time she had more luck. Mr. Pryor was home. Mr. Pryor went inside to grab his rifle, fired into the night sky to alert any nearby residents. Elmer Taylor, a nearby resident, came to their aid, hearing the gunshot, and the pair dove Catherine to Michael Megazer Memorial Hospital. When they arrived, she was immediately taken to operating and operated on. So she did survive. Now I'm thinking he after she ran to the highway, he was like, "Fuck, I didn't catch her."
Oh,
They
really?
might find out who
This
I
is a pretty
am.
interesting
They might
story.
find out who I'm a fake. Oh, shucks. That I believe that's what they said
Yeah.
back then. Um,
What happened to the murderers? How long did they get caught?
the murderer was not caught. This is an
Are you
unsolved murder.
serious?
They never solved who the murderer was.
He must have lived in another country after the murder.
This man was extremely dangerous. He works alone and no one knows what he does. Tells no one. They investigated again, and the suspects, uh, they had found. So the suspects, they had suspects on the Starks no, after the Starks farmhouse. He appeared to have vanished into thin air. Hokers and fanatics continue too as a story of Ralph, attempted to sell a store to
He
Michigan,
probably shot himself.
but
Honestly,
there
he
he
probably shot
fell into
himself.
the parachute. You ready?
Yeah.
There is Peggy and Ewell Sweeney.
Oh, who are they?
In June of 1946, the investigation faltering, any unholy's been followed in hopes of a breakthrough somewhere. Now, you ready? In June 28th, on
Yeah.
a Friday night, a man found a car that had been reported stolen in a parking lot and decided to stake it out, ate for the new owner to come pick it up. If he had expecting a violent car thief, he was surprised instead. The car was approached by a 21-year-old girl. The girl is named Peggy Sweeney. Freshly returned from Shreveport, where she had been married to her husband Ewell Sweeney just 2 hours previously. Ewell was back in Atlanta, selling
Oh,
on
okay.
another car he's stolen.
Oh.
As it turned out, Ewell Sweeney had led quite life of crime. Had led quite the life of crime. He's been arrested on charges of car theft, violence, counterfeiting, despite his encounter incriminating evidence or incriminating questions. They started to think he wasn't ready to confess to Phantom murders, but they started to think he had started murder. He was the Phantom murderer. Uh, it was true that Sweeney had stolen a green 1941 model Plymouth. He was taken into custody. His wife actually was weird. This was weird. You ready? His wife
Yeah.
said some few things. Sweeney asked me if I could go to Spring Lake Park, and I told him if he wanted to. Sweeney was driving. He drove out to the park. After getting to the park, Sweeney drove onto the park until we came to a dairy over beyond the park. He had seen several cars parked around on the road in the park. Sweeney stopped the car. We drank 4 bottles of beer that we had. Sweeney got out of the car, and I asked him what he was gonna do. He said, "I'm going to take a leak." Sweeney left the car, and I was alone. Sweeney was gone for about an hour. When he came back, you ready? His clothes
Yeah.
were wet up to his knees and damp to his waist. Before getting out of the
Ooh.
park, we passed a car I remember as being a coupe. I don't remember what color it was. Sweeney stopped by the car. He got out, went back to the coupe, parked on the side of the road. I saw him look into the car to get something out of it. He brought a large black case, which looked a hard leather box, and pulled out of the trunk of the car we were in. I asked Sweeney what he was going to do, what he was doing getting something out of his car. Sweeney replied that a friend told him to come out here and get it. We then left the park drove to my mother's on Richmond Road. Now the cops
Oh.
thought this was exciting, finally a breakthrough, but she would give a second statement the next afternoon. So this is probably fake, you know. Uh,
Well, I have a question. What are we gonna do once this story is over? Will that be a night?
oh no, we're doing series right now of who it could be. Suspects.
Oh, okay.
So
Is the first part of the story almost over
Henry
right now?
Booker Dooney Tenson. On November 1948, the body of Henry Booker was found lying in his bed in his room in Texarkana on the Arkansas side. Henry Booker was 18 years old and a University of Arkansas freshman. He had been keen to interest in music and played the trombone. Now, you ready?
Yeah.
Let's see. Henry's body had his fingerprints compared against the body found on Paul Martin's card. Though it contained no match, it appeared to be the final nail in the coffin on the case against whoever Booker, Henry Booker falls apart or does it. So they saw Henry Booker was, I think, the murderer. In conclusion, this case is unsolved. We declare this case unsolved. We cannot think of anybody who was possibly the closest to, you know, committing the murders.